Okay, well, good morning and happy Wednesday to you all. I hope you guys are getting settled in and winter quarter is off to an okay start. I am still waiting to hear back from Data Camp regarding the approval of my kind of academic application. I want to give you homework from Data Camp, but unfortunately they have not responded. So I will reach out to them later today or and try to make sure we can get approval for it. Let's see. We left off on Friday, and there's a few few pages here that we didn't get to. I was too busy talking about life and stuff. And so anyway, the main system that we're going to be using to interact with Python is going to be Anaconda. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there, right? You can just download Python. You can just download all kinds of stuff. But I like Anaconda. And so all you do, you just type in Anaconda, and now it's like probably the #1 hit. You used to get like music. And I think that's still a popular result, but now Anaconda, the Python, the programming software, has overtaken other results. Okay, when you go to individual edition, you download it, you install it. Okay, and the reason why it's called Anaconda, well, I mean, it's this is like programmer humor, doing plays on words, right? So Python's a snake, Anaconda is a snake, but there's something called Conda, which is a system that we use to kind of install things. So once you've installed Anaconda, well, here I'm on a Windows machine. If you're on a Mac, it's going to be a little bit different, but you'll probably get like a little folder of different things that you can bring up. And so on Windows, you'll get like the Anaconda prompt, the Anaconda PowerShell prompt, and this basically puts in things like Jupyter into your path. Whereas by default, it doesn't, okay? And so anyway, I will go ahead and I will open this. It opens up a little path here, and then from here, you can then interact with Jupyter, and what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be using Jupyter Lab. Okay, if you're on a Mac, you would open up a terminal window. I would pin the terminal window to your dock, but if you're not sure how to pull up the terminal, you can just hit the little search in the top right corner, the spotlight, or you can hit Command space, and that brings up Spotlight. You can just type in TERM for terminal. Terminal window should be one of your first things that hit up, and then you can start interact. You can just type in Jupyter and stuff, right? So from here, if I wanted to pull up Jupyter, I would type in Jupyter. Jupyter is spelled with a Y. It's a combination of Julia, Python, and R, and it's Jupyter. And here I'm going to do Jupyter Lab. You could do Jupyter Notebook, but Jupyter Lab, I hit enter, and all of this stuff starts running. On my computer, it pops up a web browser. And so here's the web browser. This is the Jupyter icon. And ta-da, this is here is the Jupyter window. And apparently this was I think this is what your homework looks like. Okay. So anyway, this is the homework file, and you would open this if you wanted to create a new notebook, you can file, new, whatever you want. And so here I can create a new Python notebook, and this is it. Okay, and this is how we interact with Python, and you can just do something like 3 + 2, and then if you hit enter, it puts another line in the box. Okay, these are what we call cells, and you can just click the little play button. All right, and you'll get 5. All right, I can do 5 × 7, And one thing you can do is you can hit Shift Enter or Command Enter or Control Enter. Shift Enter will run it and insert a new thing. 7 ** 2 will be exponentiation. Control Enter will run it without creating a new cell. And then if you want to do another thing, you can insert another cell. So we have a question. It says, is a Python notebook similar to an R Markdown file? I don't know. I mean, there are similarities and differences. So I think a Python notebook underneath it all is like a JSON thing, and it's kind of a bit of a mess. But yeah, it's you have cells where you have you can put in code, and you can put. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, you can put in code and you can put in cells here, and markdown and type that. Oh, the question is, what do we type into the terminal to get it to run once you've installed it? You're going to type in Jupyter Lab. So let me let me scroll through these notes here. Okay, so you go to this thing, you download it. Okay, the shell basics. So on Mac OS, command space, type in terminal. You can lock it to your launch pad or something. Okay, add terminal to your dock. On Windows, go to the start menu, find PowerShell prompt. Okay, and then if you ever get stuck working in the terminal, you can always ask for help on something, right? So, like for example, if I wanted to, I don't know, change the directory and I needed help on this, didn't like that as far as cd change directory. It's set location is the name of the thing, I think. Maybe there's no help for set location. Okay. There's no, well, anyway, okay. On some of the things you can kind of ask for help. Oh, I'm using the Mac version. The Windows command is how do I help on set location? Okay, this is and now it's searching for, oh dang it, I typed it in wrong. Oh, my life is so hard. Okay, here we go. This is what the help file looks like. And so on Mac, you type in -- help, and on Windows, you type in help and then the command name. So anyway, that's how you can look up help. Okay. Oh, your home directory, and this is going to be the same on Windows or Mac. Oh, what I did to clear out your terminal windows, you hit Command L or Control L. The tilde is going to be, I'm trying to switch between these things. You can do change directory to tilde, cd tilde, and this will take you to your home directory. Right now I'm in C users miles. I can change to, I keep stuff in my OneDrive folder, my teaching folder, stats 21 folder. I got homework in here. All right, so this is kind of like the homework. And if I just want to get back to my home directory, I can type in cd tilde, and this will take me back to my home directory, which in my case is users miles. And it's probably something similar to you, whether you're on Mac or Windows. It might be like home/your name, whatever your name you picked, or home/users or something like that, home/owner, who knows. Okay, so tilde will always be your home directory. If you're not sure where you are, you can type in present working directory, PWD, and it just types out the path that you are in. On your machine, it probably will do this. On Mac, it might start off with something like mount. I don't have Mac running here, but here I've got a Linux thing running as well. And so here I'm currently in my home directory, but I can ask for the present working directory, and I'm in home miles. And this is what we've got here. And again, you can always switch back to your home directory using cd tilde. Okay, so I recommend setting up a folder for this class somewhere on your machine and make it a path that's accessible. So a lot of times people make folders on their desktop, which is fine. You just have to know the path to your desktop. So so mine would be under desktop. So I can do cd users / so from my home directory, I can switch into desktop. And I've got, just some random files certainly sitting on my desktop. And then from there, you can create a directory. I created my directories for this class elsewhere. I recommend creating some directory for this class. And then I recommend creating a separate directory for each homework assignment. That's my recommendation. Create like a folder for your homework, put directories in there. And then the way you navigate, you got this hierarchy of folders, and the way you navigate through them is to kind of go up a directory level. You can use the ... So for example, this stuff is in OneDrive. The way I autocomplete is you can start typing in the name of the folder or file, and you hit tab on your machine. So here, my stuff is in a OneDrive folder. So I just type in one, I hit tab, it auto-completes to OneDrive. I've got a teaching folder, I can type in TEA, I hit tab, it completes it to teaching. From there, I got a 21 folder for stats 21. I've got a homework folder where here we are, and I got a homework 1 folder. Okay. ls lists off the contents of the directory. All right, so I've got kind of this homework 1, these notebooks, these IPy and IPy notebooks. To go up a level, I can do cd ... and this takes me back to the homework folder. And from there, I can change into the homework 2 folder and list off the contents there. Okay. And here we have this. Okay. So you can kind of navigate through the folders. And so each time I type in a ... it goes up a level. And so if I go back to my teaching folder, I can say get into my 102 stats 102A folder and things like that. And you can kind of give directions. So if I'm currently in my 102A folder, I can go into like my lectures for winter 2021 or something. And if I wanted to go from here directly to the stats 21 homework folder, I could do that. It requires a little bit of thinking. And so I'm going to do cd, go up a level. And then I want to go up another level. So I'm going to do /... So that will go up to 102A, up a second level takes me back to teaching. And then I can type in 21 and type in homework. And that will take me straight to the homework folder. But I often think it's easier to just navigate one folder at a time, going up one level at a time, going down one folder at a time. But you can type out the entire path too, as well. So this is just kind of navigating through the command line. I encourage you to force yourself to do this a little bit to get comfortable navigating via the command line. I know most of the time we're accustomed to using kind of a graphical interface, and you can kind of just click through and go through the different things. This is nice, but getting comfortable with a graphic terminal window, I think is a very powerful skill. So that's how we navigate through this. Okay, you can create directories and stuff. And once you have Conda installed, you can install new packages. So I'm going to just switch back to my home directory. You can install a new package. So I don't know. Let's see if we can update Matplotlib. All right. So this is a a package for plotting stuff. And if it's already installed, so I don't need to do install, but if you need to install a new package, you do conda install whatever package you have. You have to have Anaconda installed, otherwise this conda function is not going to work. And here, let's see if we can update Matplotlib. And so it's going to check the internet for updates on Matplotlib, and it's going to say, oh, you know, is there an updated package available? And I think it's going to identify something. Okay, and it says, okay, well, if you want, oh my goodness, it's been a while since I've run an update. So basically it says, if you want to update Matplotlib, so this is one of the nice things about Conda, is it keeps track of all of these dependencies. Okay, so in Python, there's all these different libraries and packages. And sometimes if you want to run the updated version of this, it says, well, if you want to run the updated version of this, you also need the updated version of this package, which runs on the updated version of this package. And it keeps track of all of these things. Because if you had to track this all by yourself, you're going to make a mistake. And then somehow these package interactions are going to break, and then you'll be frustrated. So Conda keeps track of all of this, and apparently updating Matplotlib requires me to update a whole bunch of other stuff. And it just says, hey, this is what we're gonna do. All right. And maybe somewhere along the way, you're like, no, I can't have thread pool CTL updated to this version. That, I don't know, whatever, right? So then you can just hit yes, or you don't even have, the default is yes. So you can just hit enter, and then it's gonna go ahead and download it and install everything up for you. So I'll just go ahead and let that run and finish. And I hope that works. Okay, so anyway, that's updating Conda. Okay, and then to launch Jupyter Lab and Jupyter Notebook, and I know somebody asked this in the chat and I hadn't responded for the last 12 minutes, is you just type in Jupyter Lab and that will launch Jupyter Lab. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff fly by, okay? And then, and it should open up a browser window. Now, if for whatever reason, okay, let's say I accidentally close this window and I'm like, oh no, how do I get back to Jupyter Lab? Okay, you don't have to launch a new window and do it all over again, okay? You can just open up a browser window. When you launch Jupyter Lab, all this news is popping up. You can just copy this address right here. One of these things. It says copy and paste one of these URLs. Okay, you're going to copy and paste this thing. Okay, and I think I do that. I come over here, I hit paste. And this will launch Jupyter Lab in the window again. Okay, I think automatically when you type in the command Jupyter Lab way back here, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff fly by. It's going to talk about like booting up this thing and launching this thing and starting up this, right? It's like spinning up the motors on the engine. And then and one of these things will say, hey, if you want to launch it, this is the address. So just look for this part. And you can just open up any web browser, put this in, and this is this will open up Jupyter Lab on your computer. Okay. And that's getting started there. So play around with it. And we've got that. Any questions there? I know I'm hitting you with a bunch of stuff all at once in the beginning. Let me give you your first view quiz answer for today. Today's first view quiz answer is the letter A as an apple. A as an apple. Okay, let's go ahead and start talking about Git. Git. Here, let's begin. Okay, so Git is what we call a version control system. So I think by now, I think almost everyone has heard of GitHub. Has anyone not heard of GitHub? Who has a GitHub? Do any of you have a GitHub? Some of you have a GitHub. Okay, good. All right, all of you. well, I'm going to force you to all get a GitHub because I think it's important, right? Especially if you're going to be applying for work and stuff. You know, it's when you apply for a job, this is unsolicited advice. When you apply for a job, you know, you have your resume and stuff, but pretty much all of the other applicants for these jobs, they're going to have some kind of bachelor's degree, and they're going to say, yeah, I took classes, and everyone's going to say, I'm proficient in Python, I'm proficient in R, because nobody knows what proficient even means, right? And proficient could be anywhere from like, I'm able to barely do this much, right? Like I took a 3-hour boot camp and now I'm proficient, versus like I've taken, you know, I've been coding for like a couple of years now, okay? And because I think people are hesitant to say I'm expert at Python, right? Because you feel like, I don't even know if I would want to say I'm expert, because it feels like you gotta. So anyway, everyone's gonna write proficient, but really to kind of show you exactly how, demonstrate how proficient you are, you want to have like little samples of your work. And so I think that GitHub is, anyway, a good place to publish that. So anyway, GitHub runs on Git, or not runs on Git, but uses Git. Git is a version control system. It allows you to kind of save your files and keep kind of like a history, right? Like you can roll back time with Git. You just kind of have to say, hey, take a snapshot of this moment in time. And if I ever want to like go back, right? It's like playing a video game. You have a save state and you can say, oh, you know, I made the wrong choice over here. I need to go back. All right, you can do that, okay? And that's kind of what Git does. It allows you to kind of have these save states so you can kind of roll back and undo some of your decisions, okay? It also allows you to kind of work with other people and collaborate and things like that. All right, so you're gonna have to install Git. And so the other thing is you go on, you first have to search for Git, okay? And you will go to Git SCM, so not GitHub, but Git SCM, and you'll download and install this. One of the things that has changed, so Git used to have their branches, their default branch name used to be master. And, you know, there's kind of these, there's negative connotations with that word. And so they've changed it to main, which I think makes sense as the primary branch that you're working on. So, so you have a few options. GitHub now, their default branch, the primary branch that shows up is going to be main. And so that will probably be one of the options. And it'll ask, do you want to use master or do you want to use main? I recommend that you use main, but whatever you want to do on your machine is fine. But GitHub already uses main by default, just so you know. Okay, so you'll download and install that. I think Mac OS already comes with Git already installed, so you might not even need to actually download and do this, but you can update it as well. But if you're on Windows, you need to do this. Okay, and let's see. So on a Windows machine, I have to launch, say, Git Bash. Okay, so on I can right click on a window and I can click Run Git Bash here, and that will open up a directory. And actually, I need to. This is not the folder I want to work in. I want to work in the 2022 folder. Okay, and so here I can see this is as far as this thing, this is a Git directory. The main branch shows up right here, and within the within here I've got kind of the folders that I'm working on, and you can do ls-a, which says show the hidden folders. -a means I will see the .git in there, indicating that it is a Git folder. Okay, the basics of a the basic commands is you can ask for Git Status. This will ask you for the status on your directory. And right now it is up to date. And let me just show you what we can do. All right, so here's the directory. So the way it works is, you work on your machine. Let's say I want to create like a new folder or a new file. I'm going to just create like a new little text document here. And we'll just call this demo. All right, and I'll open this up. Here it is over here. And I can say, hello, this is demo document. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click save. Okay. So now, so the file is there. Okay. Now has not been committed to the repository. Okay. If I go to the this Git bash window and I type in Git Status, it's going to say, hey, you know what? I've noticed something. There's a new file here, demo.txt. Okay. And right now I'm not keeping track of it. Okay. So Git is telling me, hey, you've created a new file. And right now it's not being tracked. Do you want me to start tracking it? And I can say, yeah. And so the way we tell it to start tracking and to stage this change is I type in git add. I'm going to type in the name of the file. And again, I can use tab complete. So as soon as I type in the letter D, I can hit tab. And I'm going to hit add here. Okay. And you hit enter. And so now if I check Git Status, okay, now it says, this is the change that's about to be committed. We've got a new file, demo.txt. All right, and this is going to be committed. And so to do this, I'm going to just I'm going to write commit. Okay, and this is the command here. All right. If you have a whole bunch of files that need to be added, you don't have to type them out one by one. You can just do git add dot, and this will add all of the changes. So if you made like changes to like 7 files and you just want to commit all 7 changes, then you can do that. So here I'm going to say git commit. We do -m. -m means add a message about the commit. And we're going to give a description of the commit. So I'm going to just say created a new file, demo.txt. And that's it. Okay. And now if I check Git Status, we've got it says on branch main, nothing to commit, working on tree clean. It says I have this hooked up with GitHub. So it says, my local branch is ahead of the one on GitHub. That's what it says. It's ahead of origin main. This is referring to GitHub by 1 commit. Okay. All right. So that's basically the way it works. You check your status, you make, you create files and new documents in here. And as you save them, you can come over here and you can take little snapshots by adding the changes and committing them. So the way it works is you've got your working directory. You're going to make or add changes. You add them to the staging area by doing git add file name, and then you commit them to the repository by using git commit. Okay. So, you might wonder, like, why do I have to, now I have to like save things or do things like a whole bunch of times. Okay. Why do we have to do a add and a commit? All right. So the commits to a repository are supposed to be logical, that can be easily understood. Okay. But our workflow isn't always like this. A lot of times we're working on something and we make changes to this file, and then we come and work on this file, and then we go back to this file, and we go back to this file. And yeah, it's a bit of a mess, right? The way our brains work aren't necessarily this linear path. And so what you can do is if you're working on several files at a time, and you're making a whole bunch of changes, rather than committing all of the changes all at once, right? So it's kind of like I'm going to use like these video game analogies. It's like you could, you know, you created a save, and then like you do a side quest and another different quest, and then you go on the main campaign, and then you save it, but then later on you realize, oh, you know what, I wish I could undo one of these things. What would be nice is if at that moment in time you could kind of save just make separate things, right? You can say, hey, let's say what happened over here, and let's say what happened over here, and let's say what happened over here as 3 separate kind of changes rather than having to undo everything. So what you can do is you can break up the commit into different commits, right? So you could say, hey, I want the changes to this one file in one commit. I want the changes into for a different file in another commit, and so on and so forth. And these will all be kind of tracked by Git, right? So you add the files, only the files that you want, and then you commit only the files, or only those changes that you want, okay? There's a question that says, which Git download should we get from Mac? So the short answer is, if you have Mac, you probably don't really need to do anything. You don't have to re-download Git, but you can update it. And there's a few things there, but it's a little bit more involved than a quick one-word answer. The quick one-word answer is don't bother. I think you already have Git on your Mac, okay? And all of these things are going to be tracked in the Git log. And the intention was to give you some practice with Git via data camp, and I'm just waiting for things to happen with data camp. Okay, so let me go back to Git bash, and I'm going to type in Git log. Okay, Git log will show you kind of the history of what this repository looks like. Okay, so the first commit I ever made was just I added lectures 1.1 and 1.2. And then here I created a new file, demo.txt. All right, so let me just go ahead and show you a couple things, right? So this was, hello, this is my demo document. And I'm gonna say, here is an update to the demo document. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna save that. And so now if I check Git status, it's gonna say, hey, we notice demo document, demo.txt got modified. And let's go ahead and add that change. Do git add. I can check the status, and it says, yep, we're ready to commit that. So I'm going to just do commit dash and git commit. I'm going to just say added line number 3 demo.txt to demo.txt. Okay, let's so if I do that, we've got this, okay. And what I can do is, hang on, I got all these other documents open that. Okay, so here we have this, and let's say I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to undo that, right? So if I, okay, so here I can go back to my Git log, and I can see, oh, here's the history, right? So I can say, you know what? I actually don't like this, right? If I open my working directory and I open up demo.txt, this is what it looks like. It says, here's an update to the demo document. And I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't do this, okay? And I want to go back to this moment in time. Okay, I want to go back to this commit. So what I can do is I can do Git Checkout. Okay, and then each of these commits has what's known as a hash. This is kind of like a unique identifier generated by Git that tells you that this is the moment in time. Okay, and so let's say I want to go back to this moment in time. All right, I'm going to do 086D. Okay, you only just have to type in the first few letters. Okay, and from here we're going to do Git Checkout 086D. I'm going to do demo.txt. All right, so here I've checked out this demo.t. So it's like we're going back in time. Okay, so imagine we're traveling back in time, and now it's like you're a time traveler, and you go, okay, let's go to the library and let's find what this looked like at this moment in time, right? So now when I go to my thing and I open up this file, here it is without the update, okay? Without the update, and you go, oh, this is what I want, okay? And so I can say, all right, we've got here, it says, look, it's different. Do you want this? Do you want it? Do you want this? And we can then commit this version back, okay? We can commit this version. We can commit this into the repository, or we can just say, oh, okay, I just wanted to see what it looked like, right? And then you can, and here it says, you can undo this, right? It says use Git Restore Stage, and you can right. And so now if I do that, and this Git not staged for this. Hold on, I can do that. I can Git reset. Okay, and so I can kind of reset it back to where I started off, right? So I traveled back in time and I saw the old version, and then I can kind of just reset everything and come back to my current moment in time. So it's like you got this little time machine, right? That allows you to kind of travel and restore older versions of things. Okay, so you can kind of reset it back to where you left before we checked out the old version. If you like the old version and you want to bring it back, you can commit that. I didn't want to commit it. If I wanted to, I could have committed it back to this, and I can say I want to go back to time, and this is where I want to start living again. Or I can say, well, I saw it. This is what I got, the information I need. Now let's come back to the present day, and right. Just think of all of your time travel movies, and you can do basically a lot of those kind of things that you want to do. You can go back, look at old things, and then come back with that knowledge. You can go back and take that, steal that thing, or save it, and bring it forward, and stuff like that. Okay. Someone says, when I do Git status, it says not a Git repository. Yeah. This only works if you're working in a Git repository. Okay. And so let me show you how to even get a Git repository set up in the first place. Let me give you your second view quiz answer. Today's second view quiz answer is the letter D. D as in dog. D as in dog is the second view quiz answer for today. I'll just kind of check that. I'll give you answers. Yeah, second view quiz answer is D. D as in dog. Okay. All right. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can kind of you'll have to check through some of these things. Let me talk about GitHub, and I'll probably have to post a couple demonstration videos or just some instructions here. Okay. So if you don't already, and I don't know how you interact with GitHub, you need to go to GitHub and sign up for an account. Okay. And there's a whole bunch of services out there. GitHub's probably one of the most common ones, but there's, Bitbucket, GitLab, other things that I'll use, and they all basically do the same thing. They use Git as the technology to kind of keep track of history. And you interact with this. What you need to do to get this to work is you need to create an account, and you need to create an SSH key on your local machine. Okay. And then you have to add the SSH key to your GitHub account. So it's like, what is all of this stuff? So you need a way to tell GitHub that your computer is authorized to make changes to your account. Okay, because you don't want some stranger making changes to your account. So you need to say, hey, this is the computer I use, And the way you know it's my computer is because I've got this SSH key. And look, this is, you're going to look for this computer. All right. So the way it looks is, this is like I'm pretending to be someone else. You go under your profile, you go to settings. Okay. This is me this was me in college. I look like I'm 12, but I was in college at the time. So this is me pretending to be someone in college. Okay. And you go to your profile, you go to your settings. One of the things will be SSH keys. You come to SSH keys, and you're going to say, I want to add an SSH key. So you have to first generate an SSH key. And so you can do this on your computer. So after you install Git, you'll type in SSH keygen. You'll type in this account or type in this information. Use the email address associated with your GitHub account. So when you register for GitHub and you got an email address, use that email address. Okay. And when you create this, it's going to ask you for a password. One thing I recommend, no password. If you're the only one who uses your computer, I recommend not using a password when you do this, because you're going to have to type in your password every time you make a commit, and that can get annoying. Okay. It's not a password for your GitHub account. It's a password for using the SSH key. And so every time you make a commit, you're going to have to type in the password. So I recommend just leaving it blank, no password for this SSH key. Okay. And this SSH key is going to get saved in your home account. So most likely, you're going to go to your home account /.ssh. Okay. And when you list off SSH, you're going to probably see an ID ED 25519 or something. You can navigate there. One of them will have a .pub. This is the public key. This is the key that you give to GitHub. Okay, so you're going to navigate there on SSH, and you'll copy the contents of that key into the clipboard. All right, so for me, I can just type in clip to the clipboard. I want the contents of idrsa.pub. Okay, this is the public. Something that worked. Maybe I have to, is it all caps? Okay, well, I'm running into, of course, live demonstrations. Something goes wrong. The other thing is you can do is you can also just navigate there directly under users, and here's .ssh, and you can kind of just open it with a text editor, okay, or edit. Okay, don't actually make any changes, but you'll get some contents for that public key. And then when you do new SSH key, you'll just kind of paste the contents of that public key. Okay, so there's some instructions here. I'll post a few additional links. And now to kind of create a GitHub repository on your own machine, what I recommend to kind of make sure everything, all the settings are set up in a way that it's going to work. Okay, what I recommend is you go to repositories, right? And you'll just kind of create a new repository. So from GitHub, you can just click this button, new, and I don't know, this will be class demo 2. Okay, class demo 22. That's fine. All right, and we'll just go ahead and create it. You can add any of these files if you want. And I'm going to click create a repository. This creates a repository on my GitHub account. Okay, so under GitHub account, under repositories, now I have this repository. And here it gives me the path that I want. Git at github.com, redshirt prof class demo 22.git. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I come back to git bash over here, or here I'm going to use my Linux directory. Okay, and so here what I'm going to use is I'm going to clone this. I'm going to do git clone. I'm going to clone the repository from GitHub onto my machine. So I'm going to type in git clone, and I paste in the that address that we have. Okay, this thing here. All right, and it says, you know, if you haven't done this, you can also type in all of these commands if you want. But if but I would just say this is going to work. Git clone, and then you hit enter, and now it has created the directory. Now it says you've cloned an empty repository. That's absolutely true. I cloned that. Okay, so now I have class demo 22 here. I can change into it, class _ demo 22. And if I list off there, there's absolutely nothing in there. There's nothing in this repository, but that's fine. Okay. Let's just go ahead and create a file here. Okay, so I'm going to just create a file using the Nano text editor. We're going to do Nano. I'm going to create it. We'll do test.txt, and I'm going to just do hello. This is the first document, and I'm going to write it. I'm going to exit. Okay, and so I've got here is the answer there. Oh, last view quiz answer for today is the letter, what is it? Is the letter C. C as in cat. C as in cat is the last view quiz answer. And it's 9:51. Okay. So anyway, let me just do a couple things here, right? So if I type in Git Status, it says I've got this. I'm going to go ahead and add that. I'm going to commit that. Txt. Okay, and so this has now been committed. All right, and what I can do now is I can now push. Okay, so right now if I go to GitHub, there's nothing here. Okay, but I've added this file, and I can do Git Push. And what this will do is it's going to take the changes I've made, and it's going to push it to GitHub. And now when I refresh this, it says, ah, look, you've created test.txt, right? So this is the first kind of thing that I've created. And this will be kind of, you can make changes on your thing. And if you create your repository first on GitHub and then clone it to your machine, all of the settings will be in place for you to then push changes from your machine to GitHub. Okay. You can kind of read through all of this stuff. I'll post a few extra links, but basically what I'm gonna want you to do, now I'll post I guess a secondary video to show you what I want you to do, is I want you to clone my repository. So my repository is going to be this, and I'm basically going to post all of my class notes into this repository. And you're going to be pulling the changes from GitHub to your local machine. Okay, so I'm not going to be posting things through Canvas, all the individual lectures, like some other class will post their lectures on Canvas. I'm going to be posting all of my lectures into GitHub, and I'm going to be forcing you guys to use GitHub and pulling the changes that way. Okay, it's going to be a little awkward at first, but you'll get used to it, and I think you'll appreciate how all of this works. Okay, that's it for today. Look for a couple videos later on, and we will see you guys on Friday.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.